Hey, what's up, everyone? I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Here's What I Think with your host, Charles Tabansi. We'll discuss everything from current events, economics, politics, and how it all relates to business and life. And today we have a very major update for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, as you guys may be aware, we've been following this Sean Diddy Combs case ever since it pretty much got started, ever since we've been publishing content on this channel. The last update we gave you guys was that the judge said that the documents that the government was able to confiscate during their sweep or their raid could no longer be used at the bail hearing that took place on Friday, right? And at the end of that show, I said this is a major development because prior to that, it seemed like the prosecution was like up on Diddy 1,000 to 0. Like everything they did, they were pretty much getting away with it. But the minute they did that, a lot of people felt like the prosecution, or some people, let me say, felt like the prosecution made a mistake. Maybe they were being a little bit too overzealous to ensure that Diddy never gets out, and then they made a mistake, which then caused the judge to call them into question for, number one, why they did that. Number two, the judge told them, as I said before, they could not use that in the hearing today, and this was all determined on during an emergency meeting that took place, emergency hearing, excuse me, that took place just this Tuesday of this week. So going into today, we were all waiting to see what the decision was going to be in terms of the judge deciding whether or not to give Sean Diddy Combs bail. Now, he offered him a $50 million bail package. He gave his house in Miami and I think his mother's home as collateral. He brought in a whole new set of restrictions in terms of limiting his communications only to his legal team, and you can go outside, 24-hour surveillance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So going into court today, I was amongst the people that felt like he had a chance of getting out. I'm going to tell you why. One of the things that the judge said to the prosecution coming into today's hearing was that he said that the prosecution is going to have to explain why Diddy's case is different from the former CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, who was accused for similar offenses and in some cases even worse. I want to quickly read from a Business Insider report. It says, Diddy argues that Abercrombie & Fitch ex-CEO is out on bail on serial sex trafficking charges. Assistant U.S. attorney said she would be prepared to detail how the cases are highly unalike. On Friday morning, prosecutors submitted a 2-page letter to the judge that broke down the differences between the two trafficking cases. Jeffrey was quickly granted a $10 million bail without prosecution opposition after his arrest 4 weeks ago on charges similar to those faced by Diddy Combs. Federal prosecutors allege that for decades, both men used their wealth and power of their brands to coerce victims into participating in drug-fueled sex parties. Both men have denied allegations. Comparisons to Jeffries and Combs are promising to be a prominent part of bail arguments scheduled for Friday in Manhattan. So that was kind of a subtext of what was supposed to take place in court today. So as I was following the case, the hearing, live, this is essentially what we got from it. According to what I heard from what was said during the hearing, the judge seemed to be very receptive about the parameters surrounding a possible scenario in which Diddy would receive bail, right? So the first scenario was that he asked the defense, he was like, okay, so if we were to let him out, where would he stay? They proposed Miami. They said, well, that's not going to work. Obviously, his house is on the water, potential for him fleeing. So they said, that's not going to work. And then the defense said, okay, we can keep him in a 3-bedroom apartment that we have in, I think, the Upper East Side or Lower East Side, wherever in New York, in Manhattan. And then the judge seemed to think that idea was a little bit more palatable. And as I was following this, I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, could it be a possibility that this judge could decide to let Diddy walk and not walk, but be free and then be under police surveillance until his trial date, which is set next year, 2025, April or May. So at the end of the hearing, most people thought that the judge was going to come to a conclusion. And what the judge said was, look, they need to send him some more information of how this entire thing would work. He's going to mull over his decision over the weekend, and he's going to make a decision early next week, which means that this could be possibly the final week that Sean Diddy Combs spends in jail. And I know a lot of people seem to be very upset about this, but and I can understand that everyone has their motivations, but to me, look, if you're saying he needs to be detained, then you need to give me a reason as to why the situation for the CEO, the former CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, is different than his. Why does he get to walk scot-free with a $10 million bond and then Diddy's still sitting in jail? I don't understand why those two things exist. And that's something that the judge said that the prosecution needed to be able to explain clearly. And if the judge is willing to do that, it means at the very least, he is receptive to the defense's arguments, which the former two judges, when Diddy initially tried to get bail, they just totally locked him out. They shunned him. This will be his third or fourth bail attempt, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a major, major development. Now, let me tell you what happens if he does get, if the judge does allow him to get out of jail. The first thing that will happen is how the public's opinion will sway. Now, prior to this decision by the judge, I'm just on the internet and I just searched Diddy news. Let me just give you some of the headlines of some of the things that I'm finding on the internet. I'm just going to give you some headline. Diddy smiles, blows kiss to his family in court, makes third bail attempt. Another one, Diddy bail hearing, latest updates. Another one says plot twist, lawyer representing 100 plus victims accused. Another one, Sean Diddy mocks justice by blowing kisses to his family while awaiting hearing. And it's one article after another. This is from Reuters. Rapper Sean Diddy Combs returns to jail as judge. So the overall sentiment out there seems to be that Diddy is guilty. But the judge is saying, I don't care about your sentiments. I'm here to litigate this case properly. And had it not been for the overzealous nature of the prosecution, Diddy probably wouldn't even have a chance of getting bail. He wouldn't have a chance of getting bail. So the prosecution has actually made some mistakes because they're so eager to ensure that he gets convicted for whatever it is they're accusing him of. So for the judge to now essentially be balanced, it means that he has a chance, right? And now some people watching this show are like, "Oh, you should." I don't give a f what you think. I'm not here to basically to follow. I'm giving you guys my opinion based on how I see it. I'm not following the crowd. What I'm doing is following the case and the facts. This issue should be settled in court. What you think is irrelevant. Thank God most of the people commenting on this issue are not judges. What's important is what the facts say. That's my opinion on it. It may be controversial. I don't care. I'm giving you my thoughts, my honest opinions. I'm not here to follow people. I'm here to give you guys my honest opinions on these issues. So what I want to know from you guys is very simple. Do you think the judge grants Diddy bail? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you on the next show. Peace.